The conversation will continue this morning on parenting young adults, but we will not have it alone. We already have our guest live with us in the studio. Her name is Mojisola Iyabode-Atera. She is a family life coach. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's nice to be here.
It's nice to have you on the show. Our conversation this morning is on parenting young adults, and we have taken some comments and calls on how you can parent young adults, and what is the thin line between you being controlling or, you just being a parent, really. Yeah. I mean, I said that, a young adult starts from 16 to 35, but I think you disagree.
Yes, I disagree with that. A young adult starts from 18, not 16. Okay. 16 is far too young.
Okay.
And they cannot make decisions on their own. And most of them are still in the secondary schools. But 18 are graduates from secondary schools, and they are into the university these days.
Okay, all right. So in your experience, you're a family life coach, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right. In your experience, in your experience of, counseling parents on how to deal with young adults, what kind of advice do you tell them in how to, essentially parent young adults?
Yes. When you are parenting a young adult, you should come down to their level. Be their friends, understand their emotions, how they feel. Then make sure that you are involved in all their activities.
Okay.
Spiritually, physically, in every aspect, you should be involved. You don't leave them alone. You should be parenting them all through.
Can it not be maybe sometimes overbearing when you say you should not leave them alone?
I mean, it sounds a bit controlling.
Yeah,
No, that's not controlling them. Get me right.
Yeah.
Controlling is telling them what to do.
Okay.
But in this case, you are not telling them what to do. You are guiding them. Spiritually, you are praying for them. That's the spiritual aspect I'm talking about. Guiding them, they seek advice from you.
Okay.
So it's not that you must do that. That is lording over them. But when you guide them the right path, you tell them, they ask, Mom, can I do this? And you said yes. That is it. But you tell them, this is why you must do this. This is why you must not do this. You give them reasons to be able to have confidence in you. So you will not be misguided by peer groups, influence outside, and they'll be able to trust you. It's not about controlling them. You are not controlling them. You are only guiding them to the right path. You have experienced it before. You have been it before. They have not. It's a new life entirely. So because of that, you need to guide them, not control them. There's a difference between controlling them and guiding them.
So, you said something about experiences, and
Yes.
parents sometimes wouldn't want you to experience bad things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, of course, they feel like you are their child, they need to shield you and all of that. But do you not think that at some point it gets too much?
Yes. Parents can be overbearing. That's true. Because you still see them as your own child. You are not seeing them as an adult growing that needs to experience some things. But when you leave them, give them a little freedom. But when you see that they are tending towards the negative part, that is when you bring them back.
Okay.
You try to withdraw them. But when you leave them to do everything their own way, they are not experienced enough. But you have been through it. You don't want them to experience that bad thing that you have experienced.
Yeah.
So you shield them.
Yeah.
You try to control them. You try to let them know that this place you are toiling is not supposed to be.
Okay, let's flip. Let's go on the other side of the table. Now we're talking about parents of young adults. Let's now look at young adults. Excuse me. How can young adults maybe negotiate ideas better with their parents? Because we've established that sometimes parents can be overbearing. Sometimes parents can be in a form of care, can be very controlling. So how would you advise a young adult to negotiate this particular relationship with their parents?
Yes. See your parents as a role model. See them as a role model. You should have it at the back of your mind that they are more experienced than you are. And because of that, always come to them for advice. Don't let people outside there guide you the wrong way. Then, as a young adult, don't hide anything from your parents. Don't hide anything from them. Even when it is bad, let them know.
That can be difficult.
It is. But you should come to terms with that. I had a counselor one day, she told me, Mommy, I'm no longer a virgin. She's 19, and she said, and I've always been advocating that you don't know sex before marriage. So, but unfortunately, it happened. That's the bad side. But she told me, she confided in me, and I told her, it's okay. I only need to put her through, not to go through that same way again. It's not that you condemn her. If you condemn her, then the next time, she will hide it from you. That is why I say, you don't hide anything from your parents.
Was this particular person able to tell her parents what she told you in confidence?
Yes, because I told her. You see, the relationship between her and the parents was not that cordial. There is a gap. I think they are practicing what I call a disciplinarian thing.
Okay.
So because of that, she hid it from them. But because she was able to open up to me, I had to call the parents that, please, she's going to tell you this. But don't be negative about it. Know how to handle the issue. So when I now advised, you tell your parents.
Okay, I mean, I like the path that we've taken on this particular conversation on if the child has done something negative, but the child is afraid to tell the parents. And now let's take it back to the parents. So if you find out that your child has somehow succumbed to peer pressure, the child is smoking and drinking, probably engaging in some malpractices and all of that. How do you handle it? How do you handle it in a way whereby the child will understand what you're saying and want to stop voluntarily?
Yes, emotionally, the child will be unstable. Stabilize the child first. Let him know that this you have done is wrong, but it is fine. It is done. Then you bring him back to yourself. Make sure that you take over the emotion. You are able to let him know that this you've done is bad, fine. What is the way forward? What is the way forward? From there, you pick it up. Then you stabilize him, make him to understand that it is not right for him to do this, and at the end of the day, he will say reasons with you why he should not be able to do that. For instance, somebody from a Christian home stealing or drinking alcohol, it's injurious to your health. That is the first thing you make him to realize. That it is injurious to your health, and that spiritually, you are cutting away yourself from God. These are moral values. Then maybe somehow you get an emotional therapist involved. So these are some of the ways that you gain the confidence of that child.
You know, I find it very interesting that you mentioned emotional therapy.
Yes.
I would guess that therapy is not, it's not a really big trend in Nigeria. How do you encourage parents to seek therapy for their children?
Most parents don't understand what emotional therapy is all about. A child has done something bad, maybe he's into drugs, he's stealing. You need somebody to psychologically bring him back through talking, therapeutic approach. So by doing that, the emotional therapist is a professional in that area. He knows when to come in. He knows how to handle him. Sometimes a child will say, I don't want to talk. But as an emotional therapist, you should be able to let him know this is what is involved. You should be able to gain the confidence of that person to be able to trust you. But some parents can't do that. So you cannot just say you are doing it on your own. Emotional therapists are well trained along that line. It is their own area of specialization. So they should be able to do the work. That is why you engage the service of an emotional therapist.
Wow. So I mean, I like this path because normally you would expect that parents are advised to chastise the child and bring the child to order and force the child to do these things and all of that, and that is what we see. That's what is very rampant.
It's not supposed to be like that, because when you are forcing the child becomes stubborn.
And rebellious. People don't understand it that way. But when you come down to their level, make them feel as if you are equal and that you have experience in what they are doing, then you will be able to gain their confidence. Once you don't even ask them, they will voluntarily tell you. But when you make it hard on them and you are condemning them, you don't condemn them. It's a mistake anybody can make. Make it look as if, well, anybody can be in that shoe. It can happen to anybody. It has happened to you. Learn from this. This is the way forward. Let's look at what will make you not to fall into what you have done. So these are what is expected of a parent. Yeah, wait. I want to ask this. Do you think that it's going to be a problem if parents become friends with their children? I hear it that you should be parents, not friends with your child. But the moment you become friends with your child, your child will take it for granted. They would be too free, and then they start to misbehave and start having bad behaviors and all of that. Or what do you think about it?
Yes, that is the permissive style of parenting.
Permissive.
Yes, it's permissive because you permit everything that child is doing. You've taken away the scolding. You've taken away the molding. You've taken away the shaping of that child. So you can be friends with your child to an extent, but don't withdraw when it's time to scold. Don't withdraw when it's time to correct.
Okay.
But some parents, they have taken totally to the permissive way of parenting. You should be a disciplinarian. The only negative thing about disciplinarians is that the children are always strict to rule. Those are those children who always say, mommy say, daddy say. But when you are a little bit relaxed, you are a little bit permissive, you listen to them, give them a listening ear, be attentive, and you interact with them. It's allowed. But when you are totally withdrawing, you are giving them total freedom, it's not allowed.
All right, so I'm saying now you've highlighted two different types of parenting styles, disciplinarian and permissive. Are those the major two, the two primary?
No.
Okay, what other styles?
You have the disciplinarian, you have the own involvement.
Okay.
That is, you leave these children to caregivers. You leave them to the advice of neighbors. You leave them to the advice of peer groups, the school. You are not doing anything. You are not involved in their bringing them up. You are not involved in their training. You have left everything to the third party.
To the village.
To the third, to the village, to the third party. So it means you are not involved, uninvolving parenting.
Interesting.
That is it. Then there is this authoritatively. That is authority all the time.
So authority is different from discipline?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Authority is you having total control of that child. You are not even giving him a breathing space. You have taken over everything in totality about that child. You want to be there, everything. You are not giving him a little bit of privacy. You are infringing on his freedom to do things his own way. So that is authority. It's different from being a disciplinarian.
Okay.
A disciplinarian is a no-nonsense person who will guide you. This is the way you should go. This is what is expected of you.
Yes.
But authority is taking the total control of that child. So we've talked about disciplinarian, we've talked about permissive, and we've talked on involving parents.
Okay. All right.
Let's talk about single parenting.
Oh,
Just
okay.
repeat. Single parents, I mean, there was this tweet that came out one time. I can't remember who tweeted it, and then just said something about single parenting and how it may be difficult for them to train very good children and all. I can't remember how that tweet went and all. And a lot of people came out and said both negative and positive things about single parents, that, oh, I was from a single home, I turned out fine. And some people were like, yes, there is no father figure or mother figure for this child, and that's why they are here. What do you think are the perks and hazards of single parenting?
Yeah, it depends on the type of single parents. Some people become single parents as a result of the death of the father.
Yes, that's true.
Some people became a single parent as a result of their waywardness.
Interesting.
Yes. Some become single parents as a result of, this is what I want. It's not because they are wayward, but they cannot stick a man. The
Or
habits of
woman,
men.
as the case may be, because it can be
Yes,
both male or female.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that is it. So if it's coming from either of the three ways, it means what that child will turn out to be at the end will depend on the factors that necessitated him or her being a single parent.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
I like the angle that you brought that from. That's very different from what I've been hearing so far. So does it necessarily mean that this child will or will not turn out fine?
Yes. Like I've told you, I said, depending on the factors. If it's the death of one of the parents, it means financially there will be problem. Especially when it's the case of the breadwinner going.
Okay.
It means it will be a bit difficult financially, emotionally. The trauma will be there. So the focus will now be on the woman trying to stabilize herself.
Yeah.
So the neglect of that child will be there. So this could turn out to be the negative aspect of it.
Okay.
Right.
But when that child is, this is what I want, it's coming from, this is what I want to be. It's not a wayward person, and it's not the death of either of the parents, and it's just, this is what I want. I can't stick a man, or I can't stick a woman. Then it means that the parenting will be different. Because he or she is financially buoyant to take care of the responsibilities.
Right. Okay. Oh.
So what we are now left with is the emotional way of coping.
Yeah.
We are left with the emotional way. We are left with what I call involvement. How the parent is able to get involved in the activities of that child.
Right.
So these are things that will bring out the child.
Okay. All right. I think this has been a very actually insightful and informative conversation with you. Now, just to wrap up the interview this morning, I want you to, advise parents. Earlier on the show, we said, parenting a toddler is quite different from parenting a teenager, which is in turn very different from parenting a young adult. So as a counselor, as a coach, I want you to advise some of our parents who are watching this morning on, how best they can take this new responsibility or this responsibility that they're already doing better.
Okay. As a parent, if you are single and you are taking care of the young adults, to a certain degree, you have to come to their level, understand them, study their eating habits, study them emotionally, study their physique, what they do while you are not there. Majority of them are always on social network, social media. Yes. Majority of them are look at what they do there. Get involved.
Yeah.
You don't just leave them to be on their own. Don't practice the permissive. You can to all the degree. Practice it to a certain extent and let discipline be there. But most importantly, be there for them spiritually, emotionally, and financially.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. We just concluded a conversation on parenting young adults. As a parent, we've been advised to be there physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually, just to guide your child right.